came out as a not came out. She was exposed as a Republican. This is the 27-year-old big movie star now. She was on Euphoria here on this network, and I think will be again when that show comes on. And she has the big jeans ad that was controversial, and they reported this like it was a scandal. She's a Republican. I just got to say, this is not where I want America to go. It is not a slur that someone is a Republican.
Oh, it depends on where you ask the question.
Yeah, what do you mean?
You ask the question in Hollywood, it's a slur. You ask the question in the Midwest, it's not a slur.
I'm saying it shouldn't be.
It should not be,
or the other way around.
Exactly. But for people to go crazy over that ad and to say they say she's got good genes,
even there,
and for them to say that's the equivalent of the Holocaust, that this is the same as all of that, is an absolute insult. 6 million people were killed. 6 million Jews were massacred and murdered, and they equate that to a blue jean ad for a Hollywood actress. What an insult. That is ridiculous. I said, I'm going to go out and buy those jeans for every woman in my family, everybody I know, just to show support. That's an insult.
Well, that's a little creepy.
No.
See, that dude, Bill Maher. I mean, Dr. Phil was cooking on that. And when he said buy the jeans for everyone in his family, let's not count. American Eagle is definitely for a certain type of woman. But you know, Dr. Phil brings a good point, because when we saw people like melting down, who was it? I know Lizzo had something to say about it, and then there were some people that were, they had purple hair, they had the bull ring. All those folks, they all have the same characteristics, and they're upset, and they're calling this, talking about the whole Yahtzee thing. I'm blown away that I forget the people that are for the Jewish people. I'm surprised they haven't come out and said anything like, "Hey, stop equating, Sydney Sweeney to Yahtzee propaganda. Stop saying anything about, what's his name in Germany. Stop saying any of those things." But they never come out and say anything like this, unless you're like Kyrie Irving or you are Kanye West. That's the only time I've seen they've ever come out and say something against someone when there was a topic that was trending. They never said about anybody else.
You were talking about the Anti-Defamation League, by the way.
Yeah, the ADL. Thank you. Yes.
That's kind of their thing. But this is nothing, man. This is really nothing. What I find weird about this, and like you kind of hinted at earlier, the only people I've seen really complaining about this are the offensive linemen from the Purple Hair Coalition. And quite frankly, we're following a slippery slope here, TR, because they're trying to use eugenics, right? Eugenics, you can't have a conversation about eugenics in the United States without talking about Margaret Sanger. And we already know about her connections. Now, stop me if you've heard this story before, TR. A liberal white woman trying to put batteries in other people's backs and charge them up to push the narrative. This sounds awfully familiar, don't you think? That's what I get from this. First of all, they reached the audience that they intended to reach. The people that were complaining probably weren't buying American Eagle in the first place.
Not even close.
They've had a positive bump in their sales. They got some good press out of this. And the people that are complaining are kind of, nobody cares. Nobody's paying attention to them. I just think this is all a little bit weird. And for them to pull her being registered as a Republican, you got to be careful with that too, because Gina Carano just took Disney to the cleaners because they got her up out of there because of her politics. So y'all better be real careful with this, because that could lead to another payday for Sydney Sweeney outside these commercial ads.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that whole thing with that she is a Republican? That hasn't been confirmed. It's not like she's the only Sydney Sweeney I think it was in Florida, register. So that could really be anybody. So she hasn't come out and said it, and I would say to her, it's probably in her best interest to not to get into politics. She's just doing a gene ad. I just want to get back to him. It feels like we're starting to see that is where some of these celebrities and actors and and whatnot. They're going back to like doing what they do best and staying out of politics and not trying to order people around. I mean, we still got some of the, the Mark Hamills and the Stephen Kings and the people on The View. They're still trying to tell people, but for the most part, a lot of these people are just doing some of these fun ads. And don't make no mistake that American Eagle is still woke. They just celebrated Pride Month. And so I don't want people out there thinking that American Eagle is finally turning the tide. No, they figure out they want to make money. And the best way to make money is to cater to their base. Their base are people that are slim, that wear their jeans. And it's usually a younger generation that will be wearing those jeans. It's not the people, everyone that's been upset. Now, and it's crazy to see men upset about this. It's like, this is a one time where it's like, hey, we don't have a dog in a fight, but men are just including themselves into it, trying to go after Sydney Sweeney. I was like, you probably watch Euphoria. Like, don't try to act like you weren't watching it, or you don't have like a, you don't think Sydney Sweeney is like good looking. Like, she is straight up good looking. And then for the people that want to like go after Sydney Sweeney, I forgot about this post though, and I'm pretty sure you've seen it too, MC. Is that when Beyonce did it, there was no issues. No one was crying about it. No one was, trying to boycott or anything. People were just trying to have the conversation. And this is with the Levi's brand. And so you could probably make some, I would say in this picture, Beyonce ain't got no white hair. Her skin is a little bit lighter, even in this post right down here. I can see some people bringing up some of those things. I don't care because, Beyonce has Jay-Z as her husband. And I don't really go after that whole colorism BS, but everyone just ignores it with Beyonce in this particular picture. And she did almost the same ad. Now, I think this one did go viral, but Sydney Sweeney's also gone viral. So there really shouldn't be any outcry, but, people hate a busty, slim white chick, apparently.
How dare you bring up the queen of black people, TR? How dare you? By the record, The Guardian and BuzzFeed are both rolling with this. Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican, so they've already published it, and it's out there in the internet.
Yeah, man.
I got some Marilyn Monroe vibes from that Beyonce picture, but truth be told, man, they're both good to look at. I'd much rather look at.
You know what's funny?
Me personally, but I got Marilyn Monroe vibes from that.
People, I saw people talking about that because you're right, it is Marilyn Monroe-esque. But people were saying that, well, she stole the Marilyn Monroe look from, I forget it was a black woman. She was an actress back in maybe it was the 30s or 40s. I forget her name.
About Dorothy Dandridge?
Thank you. I don't know why I was blanking on that. Yes, Dorothy Dandridge. And maybe there is a case for it though, but Beyonce is the one that, Marilyn Monroe is the one who just popularized it. That look, because whenever you see that blonde, short hair, length hair with poofy out, you're going to think Marilyn Monroe. It is what it is. Unfortunately, if Dorothy was the first person to come out with that look, and I think it was like black and white TV, so maybe it wasn't as prominent. Excuse me, but yeah, no, people want to pick and choose when they want to hate someone. But like I said, and remember when we had those Tesla fires, people were saying the same thing about Elon, which is funny that no one talks about it anymore. All those men that were arrested for the fire bombings, no one's even talking about those guys anymore. Those guys are probably doing 20 to 30 years. We should probably do a recap to figure out where those guys are at though, because I'd be curious. Let's see what kind of sentence they received.
Yeah, and This is I'm proud, TR, that most of the people who were complaining about this and debating this back and forth for hours were women and zesty men. Like, I did not hear one. And maybe you saw somebody who did, but I didn't hear too many men complaining about this. This seems like a women's fight to me, which is why I was pretty much uninterested from the jump. They see stuff like this and they tend to overreact. But I think there was duality in this commercial. She's talking about her jeans and her jeans, both of which I have no problem with. There's nothing wrong with being proud of your blue eyes, your dark skin, whatever you have going for you. If you're proud of it, who cares, man? Do you? This is not offensive to me in any way. Y'all reaching, y'all overreacting. Y'all need to find something better to do with your time, because there's way better examples. If you want to have a eugenics conversation, this ain't it. I can point you to some real ones though. We talked about one earlier with Planned Parenthood.
Well, I'll tell you this much though. This should be a conversation that a lot of women need to understand is that if you and this is the thing, like when men, if a man goes after a woman publicly or on social media, women come out in droves. This is one of the few times in the sisterhood is that when they go after you. So if you're a good-looking woman and you're an actress, well, actually, it doesn't matter if you're an actress. Just if you're a good-looking woman in general, men or women are going to come after you. So I'm sure it's the same with men because some men hate successful men, but I thought it was quite interesting that a lot of women came out here and was going after her when she was just doing the part, just doing the commercial. So it's
Yeah.
unfortunate, and Sydney Sweeney doesn't seem to be bothered by this. I've actually seen a few other companies try to make their own version of it, though. I know Sydney just came out with another commercial with Baskin Robbins, but I hope she gets all the money from all of this.
Yeah, she definitely has the hot end right now. Shout out to the heterosexual men that didn't get emotionally involved in this. Y'all the real ones.
Yeah, for real though. All right, we are gonna